Dark Side of Black by Texas Hippie Coalition. Red Soil Metal. Yeah, that's actually kind of what this is called. There's a little bit of an allegory, or there's a movement called Red Soil music that was popularized in Oklahoma. It's something where some of the outlaw country artists, such as Willie Nelson, are associated with it, and it's very similar to independent rock, where there's no real, basis on what the music is meant to be all about. So there's no real sound. It's very free form, more of a regional construct as opposed to 100% a musical one. Very interesting stuff. Texas Hippie Coalition, though, this is their fourth album, and they're a group that's able to blend a lot of the elements that you hear from some of the outlaw metal, either that or some of the southern metal that you'd hear from bands such as Pantera or Corrosion of Conformity. Really, the best way that I could describe this band, though, is what would happen if groups such as Corrosion of Conformity, Hellyeah, a little bit of Damage Plan, and Clutch had a baby, considering there is some similarities there. And Texas Hippie Coalition at times even listens to as the Texas brother-in-law of a band such as Fireball Ministry. So what you have here is failure to communicate exactly what this is, I guess, but let's talk about this album. And this is really a tale of two parts of this disc, really, whenever you consider the very first 4 tracks of it. From Come Get It to Knee Deep, you have very strong songs that are really leading off this album. And if you're going to notice anything right away about the Texas Hippie Coalition, is that they're kind of a fun, loose band, one that really doesn't take themselves altogether that seriously, and they kind of like a couple things. They kind of like, to drink, and they also kind of like to smoke a little something something if you smell what the rock is cooking. But there are many things that this band could really be all about, but with these 4 tracks, you can hear a combination of kick-ass attitude that's interwoven with a little bit of this duality between clean and more rugged singing. So you have the rugged singing that reminds you more of the COCs of the world, and then the cleans, which, could also remind you of the COCs of the world, and more cleaner edged, but there's also some moments where it seems that the lyrics are merely being spoken in a deep southern drawl, which makes a lot of sense. I really like Knee Deep. I think it has a little bit of single potential. The same thing is also true a little bit with Angel Fall. Now, whenever we get into tracks such as Villain, Into the Wall, Dark Side, and Rise, this is the second part of the album, the second side of the disc, that I just don't think is quite as solid. I think that some of these may have had good ideas to start, and really this is very free-form, so obviously these ideas were expanded upon to see what could happen with them, but it just doesn't quite have the same moxie, either that or the same power that was really witnessed with the first couple of tracks on this disc. And I look specifically at Villain as the start of this, considering this track seems a little bit hokey. You be the hero, I'll be the villain. This is kind of a traditional idea, but the way in which this is presented is just kind of weak. It's not one that has the same strength and boost and power that perhaps was witnessed with the very first couple of tracks. Another thing that's that's kind of missing a lot from these couple of tracks is really great balance whenever it comes to not only the vocal side, but also on the musical front. I feel like these are tracks that just kind of leave one side with a little bit more of the shine, and it's usually just this sort of like rugged moment or rugged side of the composition. The softer side or the more melodic side gets a little bit of a vacation from this corner of the album, but it all sort of comes back together with Hit It Again, which is a massive 7-minute long track, and you can probably guess what this song is all about, and you're absolutely right, I'm sure, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize what this is about. If you don't know what this is about, don't worry, you'll learn whenever you're older, either that or once you actually leave your basement. But this is a track that just sprawls on for 7.5 minutes, that has a very nice stoner exterior to it. It's one that's very chilled out. Not to mention the guitar solo that is featured at about the 4.5-minute mark is definitely one that drives and derives a lot of power and delivers a lot of energy. So this is a track that, even though it is chilled out, very smoked out, it does have a lot of power and energy behind it, a little bit of oomph to really give it the motivation to continue forward. And it's a very well constructed track. I think of, this is whenever I think of tracks from bands such as Down, where they're able to expand compositions. I'm thinking specifically of Final Cuts from Down records, especially the last two. The fact that they're just able to let things sort of go and give their compositions tons of room to breathe. It gives them a lot more options as to where they want to take their music. And here, with Hit It Again, it's not even a track that, musically speaking, goes too many different places. It kind of remains relatively stagnant, very static on the paper, but the way in which it subtly sort of moves back and forth is really what gives it its character. And it's one that is extremely chilled to the point where you don't mind the fact that it doesn't go too many places. The riffs are enjoyable enough that you don't mind that it's barely moving. That's the power of stoner rock or stoner metal, and that's the power of Hit It Again, where those subtle movements are all that's necessary. Gods Are Angry finish up this disc, and it kind of reminded me instantaneously just from title alone and just from the way in which this was sort of made of Clutch, which is a really cool little way to kind of close out this album, considering this band in many ways gives me a little bit of a Clutch overtone, which is neat. I like that a lot. So where are we overall with Texas Hippie Coalition? Where are we overall when it comes to this disc? I think it's pretty solid for the most part, but in the middle there it kind of gets a little bit lost in itself. Many people I know really enjoy this band, and I can understand why. They have a lot of fun sort of stitched within their lining, and they also seem as though they're just in it to sort of enjoy themselves and in it for the music. So, there is a great attitude that seems to come along with this band. But musically speaking, this is an album that's 10 tracks long that I feel delivers on 6, and 4 is just a little bit weaker. So 79 out of 100 overall. Still a very good album to explore, though. That's the one thing that I will say. That's a lower score that I give, but unlike with some other groups where I would say I'm not too sure about this disc, this is one where I still implore you to explore. And I didn't mean for that to obviously rhyme, but I implore you to check these guys out because they have some very neat moments to them. Not to mention, tracks that I feel are a little bit weaker may speak a little bit more to you. To you, this may be closer to an 85 to a 90 album. This might be a higher score than for me. I just felt like those 4 tracks really fell a little bit short. So, based off of all that, based off of the implorance to explore that you have now done, let me know what you think about this album in the comments below. My name is coverkillernation. This is actually the first time that I've ever reviewed a Texas Hippie Coalition album, and it won't be the last. I enjoyed the experience that much that we will be returning to them the next time that they deliver some material, so keep that in mind. I will talk to you guys next time, and let me know your thoughts about this disc in the comments below. Peace.